Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Life Transformation Radio on this Devil's Night, Halloween Eve, whatever you want to call it. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and international best-selling author, Sean Douglas. Life Transformation Radio is heard in over 90 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing, highlighting that transformational moment that changed our lives, and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network, Tuesday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also find us on Facebook inside of our Facebook group called Life Transformation Radio Community. Go ahead and search on Facebook. Join the group. Join the conversations that happen inside our Facebook group. You can also subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform like Apple, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, Radio Public, CastBox, Himalaya, Google Podcasts, and we are available on Pandora. You can also find us on YouTube. Go ahead and search Life Transformation Radio on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to, leave us a comment, leave us a rating and review, letting us know what you think of Life Transformation Radio. On the show, my guests are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, amazing human beings that are having an impact in the world around them. And my guest today has done this globally. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, go ahead and give us a call, 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And with that, please help me welcome to the show my amazing guest for today, Benji Bruce. Benji, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm super pumped. When you said yes, man, I was like, oh my God, like this is so cool. You have the best branding I have ever seen. Like guys like James Malinchak, guys like, like you guys like Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk. I mean, these are the guys that I think of have amazing branding. But I mean, million dollar speakers like James Malinchak, or you've got guys like, if you look at Twitter, like Jack Dorsey, if you look at guys like Jeff Bezos, you look at like all these guys have the branding, but you have the coolest branding for any speaker I have ever seen. Like the purple's your trademark. I love that. And your videos are produced really, really well.
Cool. Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's that's actually what allowed me to get to where I am because of the branding part. So I focused on it for a good minute.
It shows. It definitely shows. Do you do those videos yourself, or do you have a videographer or a team?
It depends on which videos you're talking about. So like the videos, just the content videos, that's just me. Mm-hmm. The videos that look really good, I have somebody else do that sort of stuff. Because like my demo, that was actually a friend of mine. It was a friend. I actually used to live with him at the time as well. And so he was like getting into videography, and so he just created that demo. We were like, hey, let's just film like a cool demo. And we got ideas like from the Matrix and stuff, like how the Matrix, it pauses and the camera like shifts and everything. So we did that and put that in the demo. And so, yeah, it really depends when it comes to the video.
Love, dude, your highlight reel is, again, by far, and I've seen a lot, because I've worked with a lot of speakers, and I'm like, you got to get your demo reel, and this is how you should kind of do it. And I look at yours, and I'm like, how amazing is that real? I mean, I look at it, and the slides change when the beat hits, and then she's like, what did she say? She goes, how did you do that? You know, like you're on you're on the media doing it that way. And one thing I learned from you, and I would have never ever thought of this, was you have a camera behind you into the crowd. I was like, this dude's a freaking genius. Like, I would have never thought about that. So we were at an event with my videographer, and I was like, we need a camera behind us. Benji said, have a camera behind you. We got to have a camera behind you. You know? So he had a camera behind me, and it worked, man. We got some amazing footage.
Yeah. I mean, it looks really good. Like, you get the whole audience, you get you. Like, it looks really good when you get that camera behind you. Like, we would have cameras all over the place, behind me, to the side, like to the left, right, all the way in the back. Like, just wherever we could, we would just have a camera, and then whatever looks the best, that's what we would use. But yeah, that demo is funny because it was from a friend, and we were just like messing around with some ideas. And I just told him, like, one of the things I tell people, especially with a videographer or a web designer or something, what you do is you look for someone who's really good at it, and then you just let them do whatever they want to do. And that's what I did with my friend. I'm like, I told him, like, all right, here's the footage that I want in it. So I gave him the Fox News and the testimonies with Remax, all that stuff. I gave him the footage, and I was like, all right, you can pick from this footage, but I definitely want this one in it, this, and do what you want to do with the editing. And then boom, he did all that. And like, we did come up with the idea, like shifting the camera, like the Matrix effect, that sort of thing. But most of it was just, I just told him, like, go do your thing. That's it.
I love it. So the title of this episode is Speaking Lifestyle with speaker and mentalist Benji Bruce. He started his first business as an illusionist and mentalist. He started learning magic when he was 10, and by 13, he was performing for tips in restaurants. Eventually, he worked his way into the corporate market where he would get hired by companies like Remax, Aflac, AAA, Best Buy, IBM, and more as a keynote speaker, presenter, and entertainer for their events. While performing, other entertainers and speakers began to ask Benji how he was getting hired by all these companies. So he started building an online training company. However, Benji didn't take the online business seriously because it didn't make sense for him to put effort into selling an online program for $297 when he was getting $10 to $30K for appearing at these events. Then it happened. Benji's first breakthrough with the personal brand was when he hit $93,000 in a single month. After that, Benji said, to hell with performing. I'm doing this online stuff. His website is benjibruce.org. You can also go to speakinglifestyle.com. He's got amazing programs and products there for you, all kinds of resources. His trainings are amazing, and he's going to speak about that in a little while, but go to speakinglifestyle.com. So, Benji, after I read that, I got to know, man, what is your why? Why do you do what you do?
Well, that depends on when you would ask me. So, like, now it's different than in the beginning. In the beginning, my why was strictly make money. And I know that's not a politically correct answer, but in the beginning, like, we grew up where we didn't have any money. It was a mom with a single mom, 3 kids, and we didn't have money. And so, like, when you don't have something, that's all you can think about. So we didn't have money, so all I could think about was, like, I need to make money. That was my why in the beginning. And then eventually it got to a point where I made a ton of money, and I'm like, okay, cool. And now it's more a matter of, there's a difference when I would perform, people would say, wow, Benji, you're amazing. But when I produce all the content and the training, people say, wow, Benji, you changed my life. And I'm like, whoa, like that's like a big difference. So I like that more. So it's like my whole why at this point kind of revolves around, like, I just like that the fact that I can alter the course of somebody's life. Like, that's what I truly like. But that's kind of the why now. But I'll tell you, in the beginning, it was straight up make money. And I mean, still kind of a why right now. It's not politically correct, but still.
Well, right.
It's one of those things where I think a lot of people, they just want to be too politically correct with stuff, and they're just not telling the truth. And so they say things like they want to change the world and all that sort of stuff. And so in reality, that's not the truth. I created a why that literally drove me to make things happen. And in the beginning, I was like, it's just make money. I'm not trying to change the world, nothing. I was like, I need to make money. And so that's what it was in the beginning. Now it's more of, I like the fact that I can truly alter the course of somebody's life.
Love it. I saw a lot of your videos, and I saw a couple ads, and I was like, speaking lifestyles. Okay, let me check this out, and you have a way of thinking, and I took I think it was like a small training or some kind of, it was years. I mean, this is probably 2018. I think I've been following you since 2018. 2018, a lot of 2019 was a lot of like, let me consume what Benji's doing. Let me see what he's doing. And you're like, hey guys, check out the ring light, check out this video camera. Here's how I set up my wall. Here's my little space, like right there in this badass apartment that overlooks all of Las Vegas. I'm like, dude, what? Like, this is crazy. Like, because you see these guys like, I'm a millionaire. And you guys see like Dan Locke and all these guys like fronting on social media. And you're just casually like walking through your apartment. Forget the view. Here's my man cave that I'm like doing this video in. And I'm like, how is he not in the backdrop of like Vegas? Like, so right there, I was like, okay, this dude's for real. Like, this dude is legit. He's not fronting, right? But in my mind, here's how you changed my mind as well. In your bio, okay, this is something that you talk about. In your bio, it said that you worked your way into corporate markets where you get hired by companies like Remax, Aflac, AAA, Best Buy, and IBM. And right then, a Benji Bruce, I know for sure, Benji Bruce would go, well, this guy got booked there. Well, let me see who they're hiring. Let me see who they've had there. Let me do some research. And and this is something that you teach. You literally teach. If you see somebody saying, I got hired at this company, one, they hire speakers. Number two, if he's a big name dude, they pay for speakers. And this is literally in your training. You're like, stop trying to reinvent the wheel. The guy already told you where he was speaking. Go call the damn company, see if they have an event coming up. And that's what I did. And I got my first $2,500 gig, and then a $5,000 gig, and then I was getting $7,500 gigs, and I was like, damn, this is badass. So
that was one of the ways that I got a lot of gigs, because like at first a lot of like speakers and entertainers, they were saying things like, well, I mean, because he performed there or he spoke there, I mean, I'm not going to contact him or whatever. And I thought to myself, it's not very often that an event, even if they like you, even if you get standing ovation, they're not going to rehire you for next year because they want someone different. And so that's what I knew. I'm like, okay, if they hired Tony Robbins last year, they're not going to rehire the guy no matter how much they liked him. So I was like, let me contact them for this year. So that's what I would do all the time. Like whenever a speaker would post on their social media anything, like, oh, I just did a presentation here. I'm like, okay, new lead in my CRM, boom. And that's literally what I would do. And I would even go on the websites like e-speakers and all that, where I would look at the testimonials that they would have, the reviews, and I'd be like, okay, well, this company hired them. All right, cool. And I would literally go on e-speakers to look at speakers who would charge what I wanted to charge. So if I want a $15,000 gig, I look up speakers who were charging in that price range, and I look at the companies that hired them because I know, okay, they have the budget for that. Boom. That was like one of the ways I would get all the leads. So that was one of the ways.
Yeah, and then immediately I started doing that, and I was like, holy cow, man. Like this is, I can't believe this is actually working. Like, because, I mean, how many programs are out on the internet that are just full of crap? Like it didn't work for me. Like so many Facebook ad courses and speaker, like I took a speaker course one time, it was somebody I knew. I was like, oh, well, let me support him, but I mean, let me see what he's doing. And I was like, yep, no, I know that. Yep, I know that. Yep, I know. Wait, this is an advanced course? Like, I've been doing this for years. I mean, I've been speaking since 2009 in the military mostly. I was never really paid. I did a lot of free speaking from 2009 to 2013. I was a drill instructor. I was speaking at high schools, colleges. So I was learning that market. I was learning how to become a college speaker. And I got a friend named Ariel. He's over there doing his thing in the college market. My coach, John Vrillman, started out in the college market. I mean, that's what I knew. And then I started like, well, let me see what else is out there. 14, 15, 16, 17. I was still speaking for free because I was I was in the military. So it wasn't like I need the money. But I get 100 here, a couple thousand there. Never really serious. But like 2016, I was like, this is it. I'm serious about this now. I got my books. I'm going to start a podcast. And then I was like, Benji Bruce. I was like, okay, let me see what this guy in this silk purple shirt's all about. And I was like, I'm hooked. Like, I'm hooked, dude. So, and I know your stuff works.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's funny because I was talking about that with a friend because I think a lot of the guys, the other speaker trainers, are really just people in other industries anywhere. They haven't actually done it, and that's why they can't give you the details of it. They just read books and all that sort of stuff or watch other YouTube videos. And so they give very basic generic advice like, hey, you got to make sure you're marketing yourself. And it's like, well, I knew that. And so it's very basic stuff. And there's never like details. And that's how I always knew, all right, this person's the BS artist and this person's the real deal. And I didn't actually listen to too many people's stuff, like especially other speakers or anything, because I was doing it. I didn't need to listen to anybody's stuff. Like at first, I did search for it the same way everyone else searches for it. Because I mean, I was struggling. I couldn't get gigs. I'm like, how the hell do I get gigs? And that's when I was getting pissed off because nobody was giving like real advice. Everyone was giving basic stuff, like, oh, you got to provide value. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Provide value? Like, what the hell, man? And so, yeah, I'm like, come on now. Like, how do I find an event? Well, like, what do I say? How do I contact them? And so eventually I just, what did it was a friend of mine, this guy named Rich, like I saw him do a lot of stuff and the way he was talking to people on the phone, and he was doing a lot of cold calls. And so I started out doing cold calling. Then eventually I switched to cold emailing because I thought it was more effective. And then that's essentially where everything came from. And I was doing this 24/7. I never had a job. So literally all day, every day, I was cold emailing. That's how I learned everything. It was like I was learning as I went. And then when I was thinking like, okay, let me switch to the speaker training stuff. Let me show people how I'm doing this stuff. Then everything was just easy for me to describe because it was just what I was doing with the details and all that sort of stuff.
Yep. Dude, I love that, man. And that's a good piece of content right there just for anybody who's brand new listening. I got a lot of speakers that listen to my show. They're always asking me, like, you know what I think is you did something that not a lot of other speakers do. It's kind of cliche to like niche down, whatever, but you literally created a different type of category from an online standpoint. Like, you're not sitting there like, here's how you build a speaker business. You're like, dude, here's how you get booked. And you hammered that thing. And then after you hammered that, it was like, okay, what's the next thing that people are struggling with? And it goes, oh, well, how do I reach out? I found the gig. How do I reach out? And I feel like the way that everything has gone through transforming Benji Bruce into who he is now is you mastered the gigs, and now it's time to master the reach out. You mastered the reach out. Now how do I get the gig once I reach out? Now that I'm at the gig, do I get a deposit? Do I not get a deposit? How do I get asked back? Oh, I'm not going to get asked back. Okay, cool. What's the next part? What's the after portion of the event? And you just replicated the process, and boom, Speaking Lifestyle was born.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally what happened. Like, I was just doing it just over and over. I just kept trying different things, and some things like didn't work, especially when I was trying to make myself sound like I was really in demand. Like, there was one time where I got a speaker bureau really pissed off at me. But I've done like a lot of mistakes with that, but eventually it got to a point where I just knew everything that I was doing. And then like a lot of people, they were asking me, how am I getting all these gigs? And I didn't want to show people because, like, one, I was doing it. Like, I didn't have time to show people in the beginning. And so I was thinking, like, well, why am I going to show people? And even when I eventually started showing people, like in the bio where I said it didn't make sense for me to sell a product when I'm getting paid like $30,000 for an event. I'm like, why would I sell a $300 product and I'm getting $30,000 for this event? And so it didn't make any sense to me at all. And so that's why I did it for so long without teaching the stuff. And yeah, like, I mean, I tell people the easiest way to see if someone's like a BS artist or not is just to see the level of detail that they can get into. Like, that's all you got to do. If they talk about basic stuff, like provide value and all that, then they don't really know anything. They're not really doing it. And like, honestly, I don't even care if someone really does it. It's a matter of, do they know what they're talking about? So it's like Phil Jackson, who coached both Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. There's no way in hell he could beat any of those players. Like, not even though Phil Jackson used to play basketball, like, he couldn't beat Jordan or Kobe in any way. Like, they could probably close their eyes and beat him, but he was still a good coach for that. So it's like, right. Yeah, but yeah, it really does come down to the level of details, though.
I love it, man. Theme of the show is that transformation, and we kind of hit on it in the bio. We just did it again just a couple minutes ago about how you came to be like the brand and everything. So I want to know from your perspective, what was a transformational moment that happened to you and changed your life, which then put you on the path to what you're doing today?
All right. So the first one, the one was, so like how I said, I was performing in restaurants when I was 13. So I did that all the way up to a little bit past college. And that's how I made like all my money, just performing in restaurants. And I wanted to do corporate. Like I was thinking, okay, I can do corporate, but I don't know. There was like this hesitation. I knew I could cold call. I knew I could cold email, but there was this hesitation. I was comfortable because I was making plenty of money doing the restaurant stuff. And then one weekend, they all let me go, like in the same weekend. I went in, I did my thing, and then all of a sudden at the very end, they're like, oh, yeah, Benji, unfortunately, this is the last time that we can hire you. I mean, you can come in and do it for free, but we just can't pay you anymore. And I was thinking like, no, that's all right. And so like all of them let me go. And I was thinking like, damn, like this sucks. And I mean, it was just all at once. I'm thinking to myself, damn, like, I can easily go get other restaurants. But I thought to myself, like, you know what? If there's ever a moment where I'm going to like take that leap of faith and just really go all in, it's now. And that was the moment when I like truly went all in and started contacting events like crazy. And that's how I filled up my schedule after that point. And so that was like the main one that did it for me. That combined with there used to be this magic forum. Actually, there still is a magic forum. And in this magic forum, they were cyberbullying me, but I didn't consider cyberbullying at the time because I have like an insane amount of self-esteem and confidence. In my head, it was like, I don't want to go into the backstory of it, but basically everybody was all against me. Like, because here's this young dude, and I was telling people, I'm like, look, here's how I get gigs. And so they were like, oh, there's no way. He can't get $10,000 gigs. I'm like, here's a check. Like, look, here's a picture of a check. They're like, well, why are you covering the routing number and all that? I'm like, because it's the damn routing number. What are you talking about, man? And so like they were talking mad trash about me. And I'm like, okay. And so that created a lot of this anger inside of me. And I constantly tell people, I'm like, look, I turn anger into ambition all day, every day. Like, and so that's what happened. Like, they pissed me off. I'm like, these effing losers, I'm going to make more money in a month than these guys do in a year. And that propelled the hell out of me. And so that was like another moment. And then eventually the moment that allowed me to switch into that training part was when I hit that like 6-figure month mark type thing. And that's what allowed me to switch completely and like not just speak and do all that. I was able to do more of the training and like really build that part. But yeah, I would say what really did it was me getting let go by the restaurants, without a doubt. Because I was like, oh man, like it sucked bad. And I was like, oh man, that's what I've been doing my entire life. And they just all let me go. And I was like, damn. So that was the moment for sure.
Wow. No kidding. Jesus. I mean, it's kind of like what happened now. I mean, I had events that were lined. I mean, I had 22K lined up from July to like November. I mean, I had like an event. Like we had like, I think I had one for like, it was like a local thing for like maybe 3,500, 4,500. Had another one for like 7,000. Had another one for 5,500. I mean, it was all over the place. I had like over 22K like booked for sure on my calendar, ready to go. And then they were like, yeah, man, I thought COVID was going to go away in the summer. Hasn't happened. We're going to go online, and we're not going to pay our speakers, for online speakers because you don't have to leave. Like, you're not traveling. I'm like, yeah, but you're paying for my knowledge. Like, you're not paying for my travel. You're paying for my knowledge. They're like, yeah. I was like, my value hasn't gone down. The value is still there.
What's funny, real quick, like as you say that reminds me of like what I was telling all the speakers, because a lot of speakers are like, oh, here's my topic and all that. I'm like, they're not paying you to talk about your topic. They're paying you for that experience of you being there, like you on stage and the crowd going wild and all laughing and all that. And so like when it switched to the COVID, now everyone was like, oh man, like they're not paying as much because all I'm doing is talking. And so that's kind of like one of the things I was telling speakers about with the whole marketing and all that.
Yep. That's huge. Like, I mean, I got $1,500 for a deposit, and we were coming down to the event. They said, hey, we're going to do it online. Just keep the deposit, and like, we're not going to pay you the full fee. I was like, but that's $5,000. They're like, yeah, we're just not. We're just going to do it online. I was like, what? I mean, it's cool. Like, I get to keep deposit. Like, that's the money, but I mean, geez, man.
Yeah.
But just last year, I created like this Get Booked to Speak resource guide and this podcast marketing guide and marketing you guide. And then I started creating my academy. And then I started like doing the things that, I mean, basically what you were doing, Gary Vee was doing, all these other people. And I'm like watching people and I'm like, okay, so that's what they're okay. And I'm trying to like see where this is going to go. I'm like, okay, what's the pathway? So is it an ad into a 5-day challenge, into a program, into a, you know, and I used to watch webinars and I stopped doing that because you said webinars are stupid. Like, you're like, why do I want to hear about somebody's backstory? Like I get 5 minutes of value. I can listen about how cool they are. Like I ain't got time for that. And then you go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just saying, webinars, it just annoyed the hell out of me. I'm sure, like, everyone listening, it annoys the hell out of them, too. Like, someone gets on, like, hey, we're going to show you how to make $1 million in 30 minutes. But before I do that, let me tell you a little bit about myself. And then they go on for 30 minutes, and it's like, what the hell? And so,
here's my dog, and here's this. And every webinar is the same. I sucked at life, and I figured it out, and I'm going to sell you this blueprint of how I figured it out. And it's always somebody else's blueprint. Like, one thing that you and I've actually literally been unfriended on Facebook because of this. So we talked about it a little bit earlier. I watched a video. I saw your highlight reel. I sent it to my videographer. I was like, make me this now. Like this is it. This is awesome. And I started diving into content, and the first video I came to, and in my very best Benji Bruce impression, you like, listen, build your business. You don't need a frickin' one sheet, you know? And I'm like, what? And I literally, like an hour earlier, got 500 one sheets made. I had them on my desk, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to mail these out. I got a list of people. I'm going to mail them because nobody mails anything anymore. I'm going to mail it to them. Forget emailing. It's going to get deleted. I'm going to mail it to them. I paid a couple $100 for someone to make me one, couple $100 to get these things printed out. Yeah, this is going to get me booked forever. And here's this guy in a silk purple shirt going, you don't need a frickin' one sheet. And you like go off on this video. And I turned to the wife. I was like, babe, Benji said I just wasted a couple $100. She goes, who's this guy? And she watches the video, and she's like, dude, I think you should mail it anyways. Like, forget this guy. You should mail him. I did not get hired by one of those people. Not a one for my one sheet. Yeah. Not one. Because I asked people, like, hey, did you get my one sheet in the mail? Like, did you? I don't know. I'll have to check with I don't know. And they're like, blew me off. I'm like, damn. Yeah. Not one person hired me for the one sheet. And at that point, I was like, I'm done. I'm doing what Benji Bruce said, and I'm going to get booked. And guess what? I did. Yeah. Because
the one sheet, like, I don't know why speakers are still even talking about this. It's literally like talking about a VCR and a VHS tape. It's the craziest thing to me. I'm like, why would you send a one sheet? Your website is your one sheet. It can have video footage there where people can see you in action. They can see that all these companies hired you, and you have a freaking one sheet that just has text and looks nice. It's like, it was crazy to me. And once again, that's one of the things where you go into like one of these groups of the speaker groups and all that, and everyone's talking about one sheets and all that. That's because they have no idea what they're doing. They don't actually get booked. They're acting like they get booked. And there's a big difference. And that's why I was like, look, I actually do this. This is what I've done my entire life. And that's why I came out with that video. And just like you said, how some people deleted you, I think that was probably like one of my most disliked videos as well. Because, of course, the speakers who are, I call them scrubs. I'm like, if you're a speaker and like, I call them scrubs. And so I'm like, look, guys, like, yes, I tell them. And so I think a lot of the scrubs, they just dislike the video because they're stuck back in 1990 in VHS tape land, and they want to send these VHSs and all that. When I'm telling them, like, look, even DVDs are gone now. Like it's all like video on demand status. Like your website is your one sheet. And yes, I went off. There's certain things that I go off on because it hits a nerve. Because I'm like, it's so wrong. Like to me, it's almost like a scientist arguing with someone about how the earth is round and not flat. And that's what happens to me. So, like, that's why I get pissed off at certain things. I'm like, dude, stop doing this one sheet stuff. So, yeah, that's how it is.
Dude, I love it, man. And literally, I mean, I was telling people, like, the one sheets are stupid. Like, this is what happened to me. You know, and they're like, no, like, I've gotten paid. I'm like, awesome. I hope you get paid. But you really need a website. Like, you need to blast this website full of video. The first thing people need to see is the video of you speaking. And then they say, well, I got to get hired first in order to get booked to speak. I got to get hired to get booked to speak. And then I can have a video because I need video content for my speaker reel. And I was like, bull crap. No, you don't. Here's what you do. Here's what I did. I grabbed 3 outfits. I went to the library. I rented a room. And in different parts of the library and in different parts of the room I rented, there'd be like a window on one side. There was like a whiteboard on one side. I wore 3 different outfits. And it looked like I was giving 3 different parts of my talk. That was my speaker reel. My videographer did everything that he wanted to do to it. And then I mailed it out, right? I emailed it. Boom. Here's a speaker reel. Here's everything you need. And what you said, literally everything that I was doing, you said was trash. So I sent a 6-paragraph email about how awesome I am with my one sheet. Nobody ever hired me. I then sent a 6-paragraph. I could talk about this. And your audience is going to be wowed, and I'm amazing, and da-da-da-da-da. Nobody freaking hired me. So here's what I did. I was like, all right, I'm going to try this again. Let me see. He's 1 for 1. Let's see if he's 2 for 2. Email. Hi, Sally. Saw that you were having an event this October in entrepreneur space. Well, I've built 4 businesses. I've done this, and I know that my topic would be great for you. What's your process for hiring speakers? Instant email reply. Oh, we were looking for someone that could teach something like that. Do you have a one sheet? And I go, no, I don't have a one sheet, but I have a video. And I sent her the video, and she goes, love the video. Would like to talk to you more about getting hired. Didn't even ask for my one sheet after that. And then they were like, yeah, we'd love to bring you in. Boom. Let's go, videographer. Got video, replaced one clip with the new clip. And then I just kept doing that over and over and over. And my video would change all the time because every new video I got, a new clip got put in. An old clip got pulled out. A new clip got pulled in. Old clip got put out. And then the next person, hey, Benji, saw you're speaking in Vegas in January. Are you looking for speakers? What's your process for hiring speakers? Instant email. Hey, thanks for hiring me, man. We're not looking for speakers. Or, yeah, if you talk to Jenny, she's the one that's really hiring speakers. Go talk to her. Awesome. Thank you for the connection. Hey, Jenny, Benji said I should talk to you because you're the one that handles the speakers. What's your process for hiring speakers? Instant email. What do you talk about? Oh, here's my video. And literally, that's how I built my speaker business. Not sending 6-paragraph emails because they never get read.
Yeah, and I figured all that out. Like, that's why I tell people, I'm like, look, every single person who, like, doesn't get my program, like, you have no idea how many mistakes you're going to make and how long it's going to take you. You have no idea. And you're probably going to give up, like, by the time it's done. And I tell them all that because I figured all the mistakes that you made, everyone else makes, I made them before everyone else did. That's how I figured all this stuff out. Because in the beginning, I did the same thing. I contacted them. I was like, all right, let me just say all this stuff. And it didn't work. And then I said, okay, I think I just got mad because I think it happened on the phone. So I was talking to them on the phone. I was trying to pitch, but they were like, oh, I'm not the person in charge. And I'm like, oh, damn it. I'm like, I just wasted the whole pitch on this person. So eventually I just started saying like, all right, well, I was wondering like who's in charge of hiring the speakers. And then boom, I would go from there. And I had this whole sequence of how to do it. And it's like, and it was basic. Like, I thought to myself, okay, you got to have like a regular conversation with people to where you're not doing this whole pitch. Nobody wants to read that crap. You just say like, hey, I was wondering who hires the speakers. And even then, so like what I noticed a lot of speakers do when they're looking for the events, they're like, well, who do I contact? Like, who do I email? I'm like, who cares? Whatever email you see on the website, you literally ask them. The info at whatever, you just say, hey, who hires the speakers? And then at that point, it's like now you can go from there. And even with the pitch, I'm like, look, your pitch is really just look at my website. That's a basic pitch, to be honest. And it's like you do it really quick because your website does the selling for you. It's not you selling in an email. It's your website that does the selling. And so I figured all that out over time because I made all the mistakes. I'm like, look, if you guys want to get past all the mistakes and just get to it, this is what you do. And so like even like little things to where like how I would send a contract and then like you get all the way to the end. So like there's a pipeline that I tell everyone to go through. It's incoming, questions, quote, contract, and closed. So it's like an incoming lead. You now ask them questions about the event. You then quote them the price. You send them the contract, and then the gig is closed. And so each one of these stages of the pipeline, you have like email templates that you're using. And so at the contract phase, what would piss me off is I would send a contract because it seemed like the gig was booked. I like send it out, and then they wouldn't actually reply. They would like ghost me. And I'm like, what the hell? And so I sent an email out, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but it said something like, hey, Sean, I haven't heard back from you about the event. So since I haven't, I'm going to assume it's a no-go. Thank you. I appreciate your time. Boom. That was it. Like I wouldn't try to do anything else. And oh my goodness, it got so many replies. It was ridiculous because they still wanted me. But I told them, I'm like, look, I'm assuming it's a no-go, so I'm going to have to give this date to somebody else. And then they instantly, like, reply on the same day. Within, like, 30 minutes, they reply quick as hell. They're like, oh, I'm sorry about that, Benji. Yes, we still want to do it. Here's the check. And I'm like, all right, bam. And so, like, all that stuff, I learned it over time just doing stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Dude, that's freaking awesome, man. Your speaking lifestyle program, there's a couple of friends of mine. Shout out to Joe Balgis. Joe Balgis from Dallas, Texas, speaks very highly of you. He's like, you know what's funny? We were sitting there. So I coached him last year, and he was doing simple things, kind of wrong, and I just change that, but he was pretty much on the right point. I said, oh, that sounds very familiar. Like what you're doing sounds very familiar to find gigs, man. Like that's. Yeah, I heard that. And I maybe forgot. I don't know. I was like, I know I heard that somewhere. I was like, that's great advice. Yeah, just keep doing that. I was like, where the hell have I heard that? A couple of weeks later, he's like, yo, man, I'm going to get booked for this event, and I follow this guy. And then he sent me a Benji Bruce video, and I was like, dude, that dude's awesome. And I was like, I follow all his stuff. And so we had like a powwow, I was like, dude, that's cool. I was like, here's what I would do, here's what I would do. And Benji Bruce, I know he would do that. And then I was coaching him last year, and he's like, dude, you should do the speaking lifestyle. I was like, dude, I already did it. It was just so weird. He's been a friend of mine for a while. So, but he recommends you. I recommend you. There's not too many people that I'll recommend that what I'm doing. I always want to push, but I'm like, check out this guy, and then come see me if you want to like coach with me. But you need to check out this guy first. Like, this is your starting point.
I appreciate it.
So there's that. Everybody right now should go to speakinglifestyle.com. If you are a speaker, I'm plugging the hell out of this guy. Sign up right freaking now. Just go do it. I promise you, if you're struggling as a speaker, go do it. Check that out. My last question for you is, how have you taken those transformative moments and impacted and elevated the world around you?
Well, I mean, honestly, it just shows in the work that I do right now. Like, that's why if anybody looks at the videos and everything, like you'll see it. All of those moments kind of created who I am, and it just allowed me to be insanely realistic with people. And that's kind of that's the basic answer, really, is just people can just see it. Like, all you got to do is just look at what we do, and they could just see it. It's pretty much it.
There you go. So I love the cameras that sit behind you. You got all the video, you got all this content. I mean, this is absolutely, if someone looks at your stuff, they have to be doing it. Like, this is like the blueprint. I guess, how long do you think it would take you if you didn't know any of this stuff and you had to figure it out all on your own again? I mean, how long was this process?
Well, that's hard to say because it happened slowly. So it was like one of those things where, like, the thought in your head of, okay, I could cold email, I could cold call, but then you procrastinate, you don't really do it. Or then maybe you do a little bit of it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it doesn't really work. Let me switch to doing podcasting instead. And like, it happened slowly. So if I'm trying to think, if I didn't have the knowledge, like if I literally started from scratch, I truly believe in that saying of it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. And I think
Yes.
it would take 10 years at least, like minimum, because people are in their own way and they don't even realize it. Like when I remember when I first started Speaking Lifestyle and I was telling people about cold email and people would say like, oh, does this work like in my country or is it just a US thing? And I'm like, what the hell do you mean? Like, can you contact somebody? Can you call someone or send an email or like, what do you mean does it work in your country? And so like, I was getting pissed off at questions like that. And so little things like that, those are the thoughts that happen inside of people's heads that are normal to them. And it's holding them back and they don't even realize it. And it's all these things that, like any reason or excuse that anyone has, that is literally the reason or excuse as to why you're not where you want to be. I don't even care if the reason is true. If you literally, in fact, a long time ago, I got an email. It was 2 emails. It was kind of weird. It was like back to back. One email, this mom, she was like, hey, Benji, I'd love to sign up to your program, but I got 2 kids and I don't really see myself, like, I don't really know if I could really do it. And then another mom, she literally said, she's like, oh, Benji, I'd love to sign up to your program. I have 3 kids. That's why I have to do it. And I said, see, that's the difference. Like one mom used her kids as an excuse to not do it. Another used her kids as a reason why she should. And every single person, like every person has all these reasons and excuses for why they can't do this thing. And that's why they are where they are. And in the beginning, people, like if I had to start from scratch, that's what you have to get around are all these BS excuses. And that's literally what you have to get around in terms of you're in your own way and you don't even see it. And when you talk to other people, like especially if someone talks to me, I'll just straight up tell you, like I'm not going to worry about your feelings or anything. I'm just going to be like, look, here's the deal.
All right.
And if people don't want to, I don't know, if they get all butthurt about it, like to me, I'm just like, I don't care because you were never going to be an entrepreneur anyways. Like if you get butthurt that someone gives you like realistic advice, then you just wait until you actually build a business and things get even harder. And so, so it's like if you had to start over, it's going to take you at least 10 years, assuming you know nothing.
Yep. Right. Yeah. 100% agree with that. And a weird thing happens right around year 3. And it's happened in every single one of my businesses. Every year around year 3, there's like a confidence shift. There's a mindset shift. There's a breakthrough that happens. And you're like, oh, I think I can figure this out. And then right around like year 5, year 6, you know, which is kind of like where I was when I was like finding you. And it's like you build on it and then it builds. And then boom, it's like the hockey stick happens, and then one thing unlocks it, and you're like, okay, this is it. I'm going to capitalize on this, and I'm going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off, and then I'm going to keep going back to that well, you know, and I'm going to clear that well out, you know, and that's pretty much what I've done. You know, if I ever get to the point where I'm like, dude, that didn't work, like, let me find a Benji Bruce video. Let me see what the hell he's up to. Like, you know, and then I took your Speaking Lifestyle, you know, the little, it was like a mini thing. It was a couple years ago. I think it was like an introductory thing at like $97. There was another one like right after that. But, you know, I went through that and I was like, oh, I didn't have a CRM set up. I'm a sticky note freak. So I had a bunch of sticky notes with like a bunch of stuff on there. And I was like, oh, the CRM. Dang it. So I had to go, I got to get a CRM. But you pick up these things as you go. And you're right, man. People just get in their own head. They get in their own way. And half of them just give up, which is great for me and my businesses because I'm not going to give up. So if you want to give up, that's great for me, not for you. Just everybody, like right now, you got this. And follow guys like me, follow guys like Benji, follow people in your industry that are the subject matter experts who are crushing it. Just don't reinvent the wheel. Just follow them. So as we close the show, man, I want to know when you get on stage or even now to the listeners, what is your message? What is your message to everybody listening?
Well, that's interesting because my message depends on who I'm really talking to. So, like, if I'm talking to speakers, it's different. If I'm talking, like, on a stage, it's different. It depends. So I don't have just one message. But what I tell people all the time, though, is you got to get insanely focused, like ridiculously focused. And that's what I tell people all the time.
Got it. Yeah. Awesome. Dude, I can't thank you enough man, this is truly an honor. I honestly just love everything you're doing. And when I find people that are just absolutely crushing it and they're giving that tangible advice, I'm like, here we go. Let me see if this works. You know, because people get burned out on courses and webinars, on people who are like, oh, look at me and my BMW. And like, people are just like, dude, just tell me what I need to do. Like, what the hell do I need to make it happen? You know?
Yeah.
And then it actually happens. You're like, whoa, hold on. I think I found somebody. You know, like, I love that part. And even then, like I said before, dude, you're not fronting it. You know, you're like, dude, this is what you got to do. If you don't want to do it, like, I don't care. This is what you need to do. You know, your videos are amazing. Your theme, like, even if speakers aren't listening and you want to build a business, check out this dude's branding. The purple shirt with the purple colors, with even your YouTube, what are the YouTube thumbnails? Like, it's always a picture with like a heading or like lettering, and it's always like different. You got your topic. You know, I saw one that made me die laughing. It was like your face was like it was like a super close-up picture, and you're like, stop it. I was like, hell no. I started cracking up in the middle of an airport. I was like cracking up, and my wife's like, shh. I'm like, no, dude, check this out. I was like, hell no. So, dude, your branding is awesome. Your speaking lifestyle program is amazing. So, dude, I know you're super busy. I just want to honor you for your time. I want to honor you as a human being and just say how freaking awesome you are. And I just wish you the best, man, for the rest of 2020 and headed into 2021.
Cool. I appreciate it. And likewise, back at you.
Thank you. Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest impacting the world around him. If anything's resonated with our conversation today with speaker and mentalist Benji Bruce, go to his website at Benji, BNJI, Bruce, BenjiBruce.org. Go to speakinglifestyle.com. Go check his stuff out. Click on those links. Copy and paste them into your browser. Make sure you check out his stuff. It is absolutely amazing, and it will transform your business. If you want to donate to Life Transformation Radio, there's a little link inside the show notes. You can click on that. Go ahead and donate to Life Transformation Radio. As we close, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.